There is an island in the Philippines that has spent generations being called cursed. An island associated with witches, spirits, and mysterious healers. Its reputation became so powerful that, for generations, Siquijor was feared far beyond its shores. And yet, every single day, more than 107,000 people simply call it home, going to work, raising families, and living completely ordinary lives. This is Siquijor. And the real story of how people live here is stranger and more human than the legend. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand something most tourists never do. What actually separates fact from folklore on this island, and why the answer isn't as simple as either side wants you to believe. Siquijor is a small, round island sitting in the Bohol Sea, part of the Negros Island region of the Philippines. It sits closest to the larger city of Dumaguete, which most visitors reach first before crossing by boat. The island itself is compact. You could drive its entire coastal road in a few hours, and it's home to a province of the same name, split into 6 small municipalities and just over 107,000 residents. What makes Siquijor unusual isn't its size. Plenty of Philippine islands are this small. What makes it unusual is its reputation, a legend so persistent that it still shapes tourism, identity, and even local pride today. But strip away the legend for a moment, and what you find is a working island. People here are farmers, fishermen, shopkeepers, teachers, drivers. The supernatural reputation is a real cultural force, but it is not what fills most people's days. Let's start with the basics of daily life. Most Siquijodnons, that's what residents call themselves, live in small barangays, the local term for villages, scattered along the coastal ring road that circles the island. Houses range from simple concrete block homes to older wooden structures, often raised slightly off the ground, with corrugated metal roofs built to handle the region's heavy rains. Extended families frequently live close together or under one roof, which is common across much of the rural Philippines. Getting around the island happens mostly by road. Jeepneys, the colorful, extended passenger vehicles. The Philippines is famous for run set routes between towns. So do smaller multi-cab vans, locally nicknamed easy rides. In areas jeepneys don't reach, people rely on habal-habal motorcycle taxis that fill the gaps. It's an informal system, running more on demand than on fixed schedules, which is typical for a small island where public transit doesn't need to move huge volumes of people. Economically, Siquijor has traditionally depended on agriculture and fishing. Coconut farming has long been central to the island's income, along with corn and root crops grown on smaller plots. Fishing communities dot the coastline, supplying both local markets and the growing number of restaurants serving tourists. Alongside farming and fishing, residents work in woodcraft and furniture making, weaving baskets, processing bananas into chips, and small-scale baking, modest but steady trades that have supported island households for generations. In the past 2 decades, a new industry has entered the picture: tourism. And it has changed the island's economy dramatically. Visitor numbers were once tiny, but they've grown fast. In 2025 alone, staying tourists reached 273,000, up from 241,529 the year before. Along the coast, that growth shows up as dive shops, beach resorts, cafes, and tour operators, many of them family-run. For a lot of younger Siquijodnons, tourism now offers an income path that doesn't require leaving the island the way previous generations often had to. But growth on a small island brings strain. Siquijor's infrastructure wasn't built for the number of visitors and vehicles it now sees. For an island famous for magic, the biggest crisis of 2025 wasn't supernatural at all. It was electricity. Prolonged blackouts, in some periods stretching for many hours a day, hit the province as the local power provider struggled to meet demand that had outgrown the existing supply. It disrupted hospitals, water pumps, communication networks, and everyday household life. And the province ended up declaring a state of calamity over it. The government eventually responded with emergency generators and a new 17-megawatt power plant, helping stabilize electricity supply by September 2025. It was a very real, very unglamorous side of island life that rarely makes it into a travel vlog. Healthcare and education follow a similar pattern, present, but limited by distance and scale. The island has provincial and municipal health facilities, but for more specialized medical care, residents may need to travel off-island, including to nearby Negros. Education runs through the usual Philippine public school system, with a tertiary option now available locally at Siquijor State College. Literacy on the island is high, but access to specialized services in more remote barangays still depends heavily on how far you live from the main roads. Food here reflects the wider Visayan Filipino diet. Rice is a staple, fresh fish, grilled meats, coconut in nearly everything, and vegetables grown in home gardens. Meals tend to be simple and shared, cooked over open flame or gas stoves depending on the household, and eating is very much a family and community event rather than a solitary one. Now here's where the story turns. Because you cannot talk about daily life on Siquijor without talking about the thing the island is actually famous for. And that reputation is not made up. It's documented, it's practiced, and it happens in the open, every single year. Siquijor is home to Mananambal, traditional Filipino folk healers. Their practice blends herbal medicine, massage, prayer, and rituals believed to address not just physical illness, but spiritual and emotional ailments as well. This isn't some faded relic of the past. It's a living tradition, passed down through families, still actively practiced today. One of the most visible parts of this tradition happens every year during Holy Week, in the lead-up to Easter. Healers from Siquijor and herbalists who travel in from across the Philippines head into the island's forests and mountains to gather roots, bark, and medicinal plants believed to hold curative properties. It culminates on Black Saturday in a public healing festival, where the ingredients are combined into oils and potions, using methods that in some cases go back generations, blending pre-colonial spiritual belief with the Catholic faith most residents also practice. Here's the important distinction, the one most videos about Siquijor skip entirely. What's documented fact and what's legend. Fact: the healers exist. Their festival exists. Locals genuinely visit them for ailments, some out of belief, some simply because it's what their family has always done. The way someone elsewhere might see a chiropractor or an herbalist. Fact: the tradition is taken seriously enough that it's now studied by researchers and actively promoted by the province's own tourism office. Legend, on the other hand, covers the darker layer of Siquijor's reputation stories of witches casting curses, of shape-shifting spirits in the forest, of black magic capable of causing illness or death from a distance. These stories are old, widespread across Filipino folklore generally, and genuinely believed by some people, but they are beliefs and oral tradition, not verified events. Even the island's own provincial government has, at times, publicly pushed back on the "Island of Witches" label, insisting the darker version is exaggerated. What's true is more interesting than the myth anyway. An island where folk healing exists alongside modern medicine and the Catholic faith that shapes much of everyday life. So how do younger Siquijodnons see all this? It's mixed, and it's honest. Some younger residents actively continue the healing traditions, training under older Mananambal the way an apprentice would learn any skilled trade. Others treat it more as cultural heritage than personal belief, something to respect and protect, even if they'd choose a hospital first. And plenty simply see it as their island's brand now, the thing that brings the tourists and the income that lets them stay home instead of moving to Manila or abroad for work, which is the far more common path for young people from small Philippine provinces. That tension between an old spiritual identity and a fast-arriving modern economy might be the truest description of Siquijor today. Not a haunted island, not a fantasy, a real place, currently being pulled in two directions at once. Forward, toward resorts and Wi-Fi and paved roads, and backward, toward mountain rituals that are older than the church steeples beside them. The island's biggest challenges aren't ghosts. They're the ones you'd expect on any small remote island stretched thin by growth. Healthcare, limited by the island's size, roads that need constant maintenance, and a tourism boom arriving faster than some infrastructure can handle. And maybe that's the real reason Siquijor is worth understanding, rather than just visiting. It isn't a curiosity to gawk at. It's a small community holding two truths at once, a deep, undeniably real spiritual tradition, and the very ordinary, very human work of keeping the lights on, the roads paved, and the next generation fed. Most islands sell you a myth and let you leave believing it. Siquijor is rarer than that. It lets you see the myth and the reality standing side by side, and trusts you to notice that the truth, quietly, was the more remarkable story all along.